In the wake of terror attacks by Muslims across the globe, world leaders have been cautious in their response. President Bush, for instance, says it is imperative to, quote, help the forces of moderation win the great struggle against extremism, presumably within Islam. The president and others put blame for these violent attacks and suicide bombings squarely on a fringe element within a peaceful religion. President Bush says it is these radicals who are Islam's, quote, true enemy. That's what most of us believe. That's what all of us want to believe, certainly. But is it true? Joining us now, Bryan Daly, the co-director of the new film Islam, What the West Needs to Know. Mr. Daly, thanks a lot for joining us.
Hi, Tucker. Thanks for having me on.
So is that true? I mean, is Islam a peaceful religion hijacked by a small minority?
The short answer is no. From an Islamic standpoint, Islam is not primarily or solely a religion, not in the Western sense of the term. Islam is not a spiritual creed or a personal faith. Islam is a political ideology. It's a system of law. Islam is a government, and this particular government is not peaceful. It's explicitly expansionary.
What does that mean, explicitly expansionary?
Allah orders Muslims to conquer the world and institute the laws of Allah over the whole earth through warfare, following the example of Muhammad's conquest of the Arabian Peninsula in the 7th century. This order is set down in the Qur'an, which is the immutable, pre-eternal word of Allah. It stands for all time and cannot be changed or questioned from an Islamic standpoint. The other basis for proper action in Islam is not some Western notion of justice or some Christian morality or some secular humanist ethic, but rather the actions of Muhammad, who was not a pacifistic preacher, but was a very successful warlord and governor in Medina and Mecca in the 7th century, whose behaviors include not only assassinations and intrigues to ascend to power, but also he engaged in many battles and raids, selling women and children to slavery, as well as waging...
I think I understand your essential point, which is the justification for violence is contained within the Holy Book. And I believe that. I think that's true. But it doesn't answer the question why only in the past 6 years or maybe 20 years since the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan have we seen this global movement bent on acting out this violence. Why is that?
Well, we haven't recognized it, but it's been going on since the earliest days of Islam. After Muhammad died, the 4 rightly guided caliphs conquered North Africa, the Middle East, Central Asia, and significant parts of Europe. They were stopped by force of arms in Poitiers in 732, and the jihad continued through Asia Minor and made it all the way to Vienna by the 17th century. It was repelled by superior power in the Western civilization, but it is not new. We are new to it.
So we're just waking up to this struggle that has been taking place for more than a millennium, and we just haven't noticed?
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly right. Islam was in decline as America was in its, I would say, comeuppance in the 20th century. And the 21st century, we're living in a time where Islam is reemerging as the political force that it was always meant to be. And understanding Islam as a government, as a theocracy that does not divide church and state,
right,
the religious and the secular, is essential to understanding the problem the world is facing today.
Right. More than just a religious faith. That's a really interesting point. Bryan Daly, thanks very much.